Hello everybody! Today I'm going to be talking about the upcoming major banners for the enclosure players. I'm going to be talking about which cards that are going to be very strong, and I'm also going to be talking about which Umas that you can consider pulling for that could be relatively strong too. Before we start, this is going to be a guide from now all the way until Project Lark, just so that you know. Before we start, of course, we have the Light Hello and Agiastekion. This has been mentioned in my Frontrunner, Page Chaser, and Late Surge videos, but what it is that you ideally want to have Max Limit Break Agiastekion and 2 Limit Break Light Hello. Those two are extremely effective, and I have played Grand Life, and I can validate that yes, in fact, Agiastekion and Light Hello are very strong, especially for Umas that have 0% speed growth rate. This card is very good when it comes to generating speed, and of course that is very strong. Light Hello at 2 Limit Break has 10% training effectiveness, which unlocks most of the features that you need from this card. Then we have actually the first banner that you can consider pulling for is Daiichi Ruby. However, if you do have Light Hello on your deck and your barrel slot is open, I could consider just skipping this card. If you are a spender, this card is actually a very strong card because it works for 3 Champions Meeting out of the 6 in Grand Life. What it is that this skill is going to give you a skill called Lightning Speed. What Lightning Speed is that if the distance track is a sprint or a medium, if you have an overtake target, provided that you are 5th or below, and the race is on the late game, you get 2 seconds of 0.4 acceleration. This is actually extremely effective because most of the time you are going to be close to a late surger or a pace chaser for the most part, and that means that you are going to have an overtake target for the most part. And since you are in the late race, you will probably proc this gold skill very effectively, and of course it's going to proc very early, which makes it very valuable. Before we go to the Umas, interestingly, enclosures have decent amount of Umas that you could pull for. However, most of these Umas are not a must pull since the cards alone is somewhat expensive. You should pull on these Umas if you like them, and those Umas are actually going to be relatively good. First one is going to be a double banner that features Tamamo Cross and Inari One, the festival version. This is going to be very interesting banner because not only you're pulling for Inari One, which is a very strong Uma as an encloser, Tamamo Cross can technically also run as an encloser, which of course means that you are technically pulling for 2 enclosers in one banner, which of course is very strong. As for Inari One, she is very good. As you can clearly see, she has a lot of distance attributes already very good. Sprint is left to be desired, but she can run mile, medium and long very comfortably, and of course she can also run dirt, which very is strong. And her growth rates are very good. Like as you can clearly see, it's 14% speed, 8% power and 8% width. Technically speaking, 8% power and width means that it's pretty much 10% power and width. So this is a very strong growth rate. Then she has her unique skill, which is Pre-Stealing Lights. What it is that it has a precondition. If you entered the late game while having an overtake target, provided that you are 5th or below in the late race, then depending on the amount of characters that you overtake between then all the way until the final straight after 1 second, you proc this unique skill. This has a multiplier depending on how much Umas that you overtake. I believe the maximum is 1.2 and the base is 0.35. Final straight uniques are very strong in general, especially on an encloser. This is a very good unique skill. Then she has Innate Experience, which is a long exclusive track that triggers in the final corner. You will get a 0.35 target speed increase for 3 seconds. It's a very strong skill. And she actually has Enroaching Shadow. That marks the second Uma that has Enroaching Shadow, which of course is very strong. Enroaching Shadow on mile and long is going to proc most of the time, and of course that is very effective. Then you have Festival Tamamo Cross. Tamamo Cross is going to be good for pace, late and end. Technically speaking, you can run her as an end closer. It just depends, because one of her 2 gold skills is going to be Killer Tunes, which is for pace. However, some Umas, such as like Daiwa Scarlet, Manhattan Cafe, you don't really need to run their intended strategy, and instead run a different strategy for you to get success with them. So of course that is going to be something that you can take an eye on. Her distance attributes are decent. She can run mile, medium and long, provided that you of course put 10 mile sparks on Tamamo Cross. And she can run pace, late and end closers, which of course is very versatile. Her unique skill is actually very simple. In the mid game, if you proc 2 skills, you get 6 seconds of 0.25 target speed increase. Any additional skill progged in that skill duration of Thunderous Fire Starter will gain an additional 0.25 up to 2 times. So let's say you proc 2 skills. You proc this unique skill. If you, let's say, proc Tail Held High, then this Thunderous Fire Starter will get a 0.025 target speed increase added on top of that target speed increase of a 0.25. It will stay like that until the skill goes away. So for that duration of the skill, any skills that you proc while this skill is active buffs Thunderous Fire Starter by 0.025 up to 2 times. She has 2 gold skills, of course, that being Killer Tunes and It's On. Killer Tunes is a medium exclusive skill that procs if you are 5th or above in the medium distance track, which of course is a very good gold skill. However, that means that Tamamo Cross is technically more oriented to be a pace chaser. However, you don't really need to run her as a pace chaser, and instead you can technically also run her as an end closer, since you have access to Daring Strike as an end closer player. And her second gold skill is very good. It's going to be It's On. It's an overtake 0.35 target speed increase, and that is of course very effective. Then we have the rerun of Mr. C.B and Super Creek. It just depends on how much limit breaks that you have from Mr. C.B, or if you do not have Mr. C.B at all. If you do not have Mr. C.B at all, I would recommend you just pull on this banner and try to get as much limit breaks that you can before this banner goes away. If you have one limit break Mr. C.B and you are an encloser player, you could potentially pull on this banner if you do not have Super Creek and try to go for at least 3 limit break Mr. CB or potentially max limit break, because once Mejiro Ramonu comes out, you will probably drop Fine Motion if you have that card off of your deck, and of course put Mejiro Ramonu there. And Mr. CB and Super Creek is a good value banner for that encloser player looking to get as much value as possible from any banner. So of course that is very effective. Then we actually have Mr. CB herself. Mr. CB is going to be a very interesting Uma. She has a 10% speed, 10% stamina, and 10% weight growth. Of course that is very good. She can run mile, medium, and long, which of course is great. And she is going to be very effective as an encloser. Then we have her unique skill. She is going to get buffs depending on which track she is on. If it is a mile or a sprint, she is essentially similar to Gold Chip, where if you are 6th or below, while being in the second half of the mid game, you will get 6 seconds of 0.25 target speed increase. However, if it is a medium or a long distance track, you can technically get up to 0.1 extra target speed increase, depending on how far away are you from first place. So let's say they are running a runaway character and they are very ahead of you. You actually get a 0.35 target speed increase for 6 seconds for Mr. CB on medium and long distance tracks. This is a very powerful unique skill, especially against runaways and front runners. She has a gold skill called Seamless, which is going to proc if she is 5th or below at the 3rd corner, provided that it is a medium or a long distance track. For 3 seconds she gets 0.35 current speed increase, which is an extremely powerful thing to have, which of course is very strong. Then you have Encroaching Shadow on Mr. CB, and that means that she is the third character to have Encroaching Shadow, and of course that is very effective in mile and long distance. Then we have Mejiro Ramonu. Mejiro Ramonu, I don't really need to talk about Mejiro Ramonu since I have talked about her in the Frontrunner Pace Chaser video a lot, but just know that you need to maximum break this card, and this card comes up with free pulls, so it is going to be very nice. And again, you should maximum break this card. Then we have Neo Universe. While she is an NC character, I believe that she is going to be similar to Manhattan Cafe, where she is actually very strong as an encloser, but you gotta have to put some attribute sparks to raise that to A. However, she is actually very good in the mile on long distance tracks, so she is fine sacrificing a couple of pink sparks to raise that attribute to A. Her growth rate is very good because it's straight up 30% wet, which is very effective. Her unique skill depends if she is on a medium track or not. If she is on a medium distance track, if you are between the 50th percent to 55% way of the race, provided that she is 4th or 7th place position, and if she is on a medium distance track, if she has progged 7 skills total since the start of the race, she gets 5 seconds of 0.45 target speed increase. This is a very effective skill, especially if you run her as an encloser, because they have the highest speed correlation, which means that you will push up very hard compared to most other enclosers. And especially since it is a 0.45 target speed increase, it is going to be very effective. Then her second trigger is very basic, is that if she is not on a medium, it is very simple. It's between 50 to 55% way of the race, provided that she is between 4th to 7th place position, she will prog the skill, which of course is very effective. If you do not trigger the first condition while being on medium, you still can trigger the second condition, which gives you 0.35 target speed increase, which of course is very effective. Then she has Comes What May. Comes What May is a gold exclusive skill for medium distance track that is obtained from Nakayama Festa Stamina. This skill is the gold version of All I Have Got, which of course is a very good skill for the pace chasers, late soldiers, and enclosers. So having that as an innate is very effective. And then she has Luminance. Luminance is a very broken skill, straight up. If you have progged 13 skills while being on medium distance track, you get 2.4 seconds of 0.35 current speed. This is extremely broken, and I can't emphasize how broken this skill is until this character comes out and you will realize, wait, he's right. This skill is absurd, like straight up absurd, which of course is going to be very fun to deal with because Tail 9 is also very effective, and unfortunately she has probably a better version of that. Next up we have Jungle Pocket Speed. This is a very strong backliner card for the medium and long distance tracks, and it is very effective overall. At maximum break you have 10% training of effectiveness, you have 1 power bonus, and then you have 10% race bonus, which of course is very nice. However, her unique effect is very strong. Gain plus 3 speed bonus when the bond gauge is full. So once you cap the friendship gauge of this card becomes extremely powerful. But as you can clearly see, this card unfortunately does require maximum break. Why is that the case? It's simply because this card at 0 to 2 limit break has no cross trading. At 3 limit break it's 5%, which is not ideal considering that once this card comes out we will probably be going into Project Lark. This is going to be in the middle of the Grandmaster scenario, which means that in general, training effectiveness, mood effect, and friendship bonus actually become more valuable as time moves on. And of course, that 10% training effectiveness is the only thing that she has, which of course is harsh, but in general, this card is very good at maximum break, and I would recommend you try to go for maximum break. However, you could technically go for like 3 limit break and then use a selector to make this maximum break. It just depends on the strategy of how you would go with this card. As for the hints, this card is very effective and has very good hints. It has corner adept, medium straightaways, medium corners, rising passion, which is the common version of the gold skill that this card provides, Slick Surge, which is going to be buffed at this point and is going to be a decent overall skill. It's still RNG, but it's better than the old counterpart. Take That Chance is the exact same as Slick Surge, except it's on a medium, and the skill Witfall, which is going to be a late surger skill. So the hint level of this card is hint level 2, which means that when you train with this card and you get a hint, it is going to be hint level 3. As for the gold skill, it is going to be Surging Beat. What Surging Beat is that if the track is a medium or a long distance track, provided that this is going to be in the first half of the late race, provided that you are 3rd or 7th place position, you get 0.35 current speed increase, which is very effective. This puts you on the maximum top speed, and of course that is very effective because you are technically still accelerating on that portion of the race, which allows you to have very strong like push up while accelerating and helps you get closer to the front runners, which of course is very good. However, this card has a very unique gimmick where on the second chain event you can actually get this gold skill early compared to any other card, which is going to be very interesting, and it depends if you are lucky or not. If it ends on the below option, the chain will end. However, you will get the skill very early, which of course is very good. Then we have Tanino Gimlet. This Uma is very unique. Her attributes is that she has mile A, medium A. However, you can technically run sprint and long. However, you need a lot of attributes for that. As for the strategy, she is going to be very effective as an encloser and slightly weaker as a late surger. As for the growth rates, she has 30% power, which is very interesting. That means is that when you are training speed, you're getting a lot more power compared to most Umas, which of course is effective. This is actually probably one of the better pure 30% of stat growth rate on an Uma. As for the unique skill, it depends if you are on a medium Tokyo race course, which is very limited. However, this unique skill is extremely powerful. If you are on the precondition where if you have been in the late race, provided that you have been 5th or below at any point in the late race, if the track type is medium and of course being on Tokyo race course, on the final straight you will get a 0.55 current speed increase. That is absurd, like really absurd, and it's very effective. It's on the home stretch, which means is that you can technically duel. So if you duel while also being under the effect of this skill, it makes you launch very aggressively. It's very powerful. As for the other trigger, is simple actually. It's basically if you are in the late race, provided that you are 5th or below at any point, when you are in the final straight, you will get 0.35 current speed increase instead, which of course is very effective still. Which is crazy because this unique skill means is that she could run all distance tracks and actually perform very decently well in them. Then she has her gold skills, first one being Strum and Rank. This is very interesting skill that gets updated in the 2nd year anniversary balance change, and what it is that it gets a precondition where if at any point in the late race where you are like 50 meters away from first place position, that means that this unique skill is going to be able to be procced. The condition where is that if she is an encloser and the first half of the final spurt, she will proc this skill, which gives her 0.35 targets per increase. This is basically a home stretch unique gold skill that she can have, and that is very effective. She has a gold skill by the name of Cloud Dragon's Metamorphosis, which is such an aura name for a skill. What it is that if you are on a mile or medium, if your power and speed is above 1000, you'll get 60 speed and 60 power, which of course is very, very effective, which is very strong. I don't know what else to say. It's like 60 speed on mile and medium distance tracks. That is a very effective skill overall. And then finally, we have My Stake and El Condor Pasa. I will probably say that you should try to go for 3 limit break My Sticky and then maximum break El Condor Pasa, because El Condor Pasa is the next generalist card that will power creep Kita-san Black, which of course is going to be very long time from now. And that is going to be it. If you found this video to be helpful, consider joining the community server, link is in the comment section. And as you can clearly see, I didn't bother with changing the last slide. And that is pretty much it. I hope to see you in the next one, and I hope that you have a very wonderful day.